as soon as we started, they were like, "You guys want to take a photo together?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, cute, that's cute." As soon as I started the photo, uh, Pink said this thing. She was like, "This is my Mount Rushmore." She's like, "This is our Mount Rushmore."
Yeah. Begin this interview by asking you what inspired you to create a whole new album and what's the story behind New Avatar.
The inspiration for this record, mainly comes from having started with a lot of the sounds I'm exploring on this record, specifically with guitar. Um,
Hmm.
that is that was the mood and sound for my first band and a lot of the early explorations in songwriting that I was making for many years in the beginning of my journey. So this is me, this is an intention that I've always had of once I sort of establish what I'm saying and the bass line, which for me is dance music, R&B, and finding all those intersections that are possible there. I was like, as soon as I create that foundation, I am going to make my guitar record. And so I had that intention after Take Me Apart, and I just based off of timing and availability, I wasn't able to explore the thing that I wanted to explore. So I started from scratch and started working on another body of work, and that's how Raven was born. It was really fast. So I just kind of was like, let me just go with what is working, what is feeling natural, and
Hmm.
what it's presenting itself. So that is what happened then. But I always was like, okay, now the next one definitely needs to be the guitar vision, and I know that I have so much to say. I haven't even been able to really explore all of the facets of this music on this record. Is It's like only a portion of the things that I know I have inside me, even just with this one instrument. So there's just a lot. I guess for me, the that was the sort of backstory into pursuing that sound. I think so many of us are used to compartmentalizing. You know, we're having
Hmm.
to be like, if I
Genres.
want R&B, I go over here. If I want dance music, it's over here. And then if I want guitar stuff, it's going to be over here. There is guitar in R&B, and there does exist R&B in dance music. Like all of these things do have blurs, but like I would say for the most part, we are being asked to compartmentalize, and that's especially true
Yeah.
for marginalized Black people.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when I would go to the show of my favorite indie band, I knew I was going to be one of three Black people in the whole damn venue. And we're all looking at each other like, you know what I mean? Like
I see you.
maybe, or some people are like, do not make eye contact with me. You know what I mean? Like there were many different feelings, but it is a feeling of isolation or being on the outside, but also like loving this thing so much, and
Yeah.
that dissonance where like we love this, but also I hate this. You know what I mean? That
Hmm.
feeling is something I wanted to correct.
Yeah, totally. Kelela, before the album was released, there was a lot of speculations about if the album was going to be like a rock album because of the guitars. And I heard a journalist, a British journalist, saying that the guitar is definitely a way to connect all the songs within the album. And I want to ask you, would you say the electric guitar functions as a narrator across the record?
Absolutely. It was like the base line, of my exploration.
Yeah, sure.
I was That was the first thing that I was after, is trying to find multiple sonic intersections between my voice and guitar. What are the different templates and the different sounds that feel natural to me? So it's definitely, it's like the thread, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
I'm sort of weaving this tapestry with. And when it came to the dance music stuff, I was like, I don't want to abandon what you know about me in
Mm-hmm.
order to explore something new.
Yeah.
I think it's a really important thing. I think often artists are, you know, they make if they step into another sound, they're often wanting they just think that they have to abandon the previous one and be like, I'm not that. This record is not that. This record is this. You know, it's like no, I am an R&B singer. Like that is the style that I sing in. At the same time, this is also something else. Do you know what I mean? It can be
Yeah,
R&B and
the next
rock
step.
music. Yes, and I really want to just sort of create that thread that says like you don't have to like say this is not that in order for it to be this. And I
Yeah.
think that for me is, yeah, it's like another mission.
Talking about genres and specifically about R&B, how would you describe the R&B genre currently?
Honestly, I would say that I've said this before,
Hmm.
that it is, I think, the most expansive genre. I think it has like the most range
Yeah.
because it's not a production style. I think people think about it as a production style. And it has a production sort of there's a lot of traditional
Yeah.
production templates that have been used in R&B, but I do think that it expands beyond that because of the compelling nature of that style of singing. So we call pop artists pop when it's just non-black people. Pop music literally is born out of non-black people singing like that. That's literally how the pop genre was born because white music executives wanted something similar to market to white audiences. And so with that type of origin story, we're just getting a lot of like confusion about like what is genre because it feels amorphous. It feels quite confusing. You know what I mean? It's like it is a sound of production, but it's also a styling of vocal. And you can do that singing over so many different things. And even within what we call R&B, there are so many different pockets and weird experimental zones that are not popular, you know what I mean, and kind of exist solely in black spaces. But, there's a lot of, you know, R&B artists who have gotten really weird and experimental in the past. So that's a part of the tradition as well. So it's a very, it's a hard thing to separate, but I would say that it has always been pretty expansive. It's just not been framed that
Hmm.
way. So I would say that as time passes, it continues to get even more and more expansive.
Growing.
It feels like it grows even more. There's a lot more other intersections. I'm not the only one to explore this intersection.
Kelela, let's talk about that majestic collaboration with PinkPantheress.
Oh.
I think it broke the internet. PinkPantheress is like literally the girl of the moment. What would you
Mhm.
say you have in common with a kind of artist like PinkPantheress with such a strong view in production music and what she wants her style to be?
No, absolutely. I feel, yeah, it's just a really beautiful thing to be able to make music with someone who I'm so moved by. I would say that out the gate,
Yeah.
hearing her first project, I was like, wow. It's like so. I got introduced to her music because she had mentioned me in a public in an interview when
Yeah,
they
yeah,
asked her, like what, she was like, case for Kelela, and I was like, and
yeah.
everybody had tagged me in this thing and being like, you got to hear this, and I listened to it and it was very like, oh my God, like it's very crazy to hear something that's blowing your mind and so it sounds completely like outside of you but also hear yourself inside it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's a
Yeah,
very like,
yeah,
it's like a crazy, it feels like a really unique, special catharsis that like not a lot
yeah.
of people will get to experience, but it just feels so blessed to not just experience that because that was enough for me.
Hmm.
I loved her music out, as soon as I heard it, but I think then to collaborate, it just like it like brings the circle. It's like
Yeah.
completes the circle in this way that's like um, you know, across a generation, and also, um, I don't know, like it's just very sisterly. It's like
Yeah.
and wholesome and just really sweet. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, I just like have a lot of respect for how she's done her thing, and yeah, I feel honored to be in that type of exchange with her. She's brilliant.
Totally. Well, and just to wrap it up this interview, can we please talk about that iconic picture with Pink, Russell Jordan, Dinashe? Can we please
Yeah.
talk about that viral photo, please?
No, I love that photo. It was
You
really
guys imagine that it was going to be such a huge thing on the internet?
no, it was really funny. As soon as we started, they were like, "You guys want to take a photo together?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, cute. That's cute." As soon as I started the photo, uh, Pink said this thing. She was like, "This is my Mount Rushmore." She's like, "This is our Mount Rushmore,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Period." It's a really special moment. I feel like I've not been in a space where there's that many of a, or it's like I don't know, like the alt dance music girlies,
Yeah.
and for all of us to, yeah, for it to be for black women. It's just like, again, like there was a time when I first released the mixtape, there was just like a feeling of like, hello, 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 like, is anybody out there? Is anybody, like, that's kind of the feeling that I had. And for us to be in this moment where we can have a moment like that, and experience that type of camaraderie is a really
Hmm.
sweet, and special thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kelela, for this
Thank you
interview.
so much.
I'm going to listen you over the whole week. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much,
Thank you for
and
your
thank you.
support.
Yeah, thank you for your work in the industry. Absolutely.